Right there, he held CDI for a pause, for effect. I think that was supposed to get the audience's attention that this is what he'll be talking about. And he also used a rhetorical question to kind of get them thinking about what's a CDI, what are the requirements, what he will be referring to when talking about a CDI, that kind of thing. There, whenever he says to present, he's talking about approving something for the CDI, and every time he talks about presenting it to someone at a higher power, his eye gaze shifts up, his body movement, kind of stretches a little taller, and his hands go up as well to show he set that up in space where that person is, and excuse me, whenever he's talking about that, referring to his eye gaze goes up and his body movement goes up as well. He put his hands together to transition between one thought to another. He kind of looks down, and then when he brings his eye gaze back up, he puts his hands up so you know he's ready to sign. Again, if you notice, he rose his hands to have our ID look at it. Right there, he did a head nod to kind of give back channeling to the audience. So making sure, 8 hours, 8 hours. Nod his head to engage with the audience and make sure that they're understanding. And then he went on to his next thought. So right there, he just said, I'm going to tell you the different requirements, and then he puts his hands together before he begins his list to kind of get the reader or the audience's attention and get ready for the list. Right there, he was listing off the different kinds of ways you can earn ethics credits, and each time he leaned forward and then leaned back and then leaned forward then leaned back to show like you can do this or you can do this or you can do this, but he showed that in his body movements and his head movements as he moved forward and back. Again, he was listing off something else, and he leaned forward, leaned back and put his hands together, leaned forward and leaned back to put his hands together to show these are the different things that fall under this category. He's still continuing to do that too. This is a pattern that I've noticed with this speaker. So under each category of what's required, there are many different ways you can obtain those requirements. And whenever he does that, again, he leans forward and then leans back. Whenever he talks about, here's an option, and then he leans back. Here's an option, and then he leans back. So that's a pattern that he does to show the different options for the different things that you need for the requirements. He used a transition sign, understand, and then he continues on. He has a long pause, and then he does a transition sign, understand, to lead into his next topic. He showed time by doing today and then swope his hand and then did January 1st, kind of show a timeline, a timeline within his body. He also used the sign if to kind of transition as well. Right there, he also did another head nod to kind of back channel to the audience that he was finished with that topic and that, do you understand what I'm saying? That kind of thing. And he used that with his head and he dropped his chin, his eyebrows went up, and he shook his head. He doesn't know that, and then he goes into his next topic. He does a lot of signs like remember, know that, if, those kind of transition signs that kind of start a topic or subtopic to let the audience know that he's either switching topics or referring back to something, or just to kind of, instead of just going into what he wants to say, he sets it up first by using a transition sign before just going on what the next topic or subtopic is. He also does a hand wave to get the audience attention, like, hey, now. So that's another attention grabber to keep the audience engaged and knowing that he's switching topics. Right there, he pointed to the date, and he used his non-dominant hand to point to that date. That's also to draw the audience's eyes away from his face and to look at his hand to really emphasize the date. Again, he did another head nod after bachelor's degree, kind of back channel to the audience. the very end, he dropped his head down and had kind of like a facial expression to show that he was finished with his presentation.